I would like to introduce Graham's very brave topic, Panini's Grammatical Rules of the Sanskrit Language.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, imagine yourself sitting under a tree, sunny afternoon, 2,500 years ago in the Himalayas, and you hear these sounds. From up to ha. Would that mean anything to you? Well, when Panini heard these sounds, he went, aha. And he cognised a clear insight to the complete grammatical structure of the enormously complex Sanskrit language. And he also realised that all Sanskrit words can be derived from about 2,000 Sanskrit roots, which in turn can all be derived from one Sanskrit root, one syllable, boo, which is the quiddity of each and every one of us. Now, Sanskrit is considered to be the oldest language in the world, and it's the basis of Greek and hence Latin and most European languages, in fact most of the languages in the world. And Panini's grammatical rules are such an amazing cognition that even today they form the basis of modern linguistic study. Now, Panini has 4,000 grammatical rules. Let me give you an example. This is Panini's first grammatical rule. Ready, ra, Deutsch. Let's all say it together. Ready, ra, Deutsch. Simple. Using later rules, we can divide this up into its three individual words. Ready, art, and eich. You know, some changes have taken place, such as the joy of grammar. Let's look at the last word, eich. Now, to understand that, we have to understand what Panini heard. And what he heard was the Sanskrit alphabet, but in a very particular order with these code letters. And the way they work is like this. If we go what we mean is all the sounds between up and in. That's up, i, u. If we go ach, we mean all the vowels. In Sanskrit, the vowels come first. That's so important. If we go al, what do we mean? The whole alphabet. Now, here we have eich. Eich means all the sounds between I and ch. So we've got I and ow. So this means I and ow. Second word, this t here means that the is a long ah. So now we have I, ouch. See how the beautiful this was? It's a joy. It gets better. This ha means that vriddhi is the subject of this rule. And vriddhi means expansion. So what Panini's first grammatical rule says is that the sounds I, and ow are expanded sounds. And later rules explain how is the expansion of I is the expansion of it, and ow is the expansion of u. And later rules also explain how to use this process and when it's used. And we have this process still in English. Let's take the English word sit. We have the vowel in. Sit. Now, if we form the vriddhi of the, what would that be? I. So instead of having sit, we would have what? Sight. So vriddhi of it is I. So sit, sight. And what is sight? Sight is the place where something sits. Beautiful, huh? So that's Panini's first grammatical rule. Vriddhi, ra, Deutsch. Just 3,999 to go. Panini's first grammatical rule, ready, ra, Deutsch. Expansion is the essence, the first impulse of sound. Expansion is the meaning of life. Let's look at another rule. Let's look at Panini's last grammatical rule. This is the shortest sentence in the whole world. It's complete with the subject, object, and verb. The verb in Sanskrit, the most important verb in Sanskrit is bhu, to be, to become. It's a quality of each and every one of us. And in any Sanskrit sentence, if there's no verb actually written, then the verb to be is implied. So the verb here is. And what this is that is up. This first up is pronounced the fullness of everything. And that fullness of everything that we've considered up until now through all these other rules, actually in essence, that is actually pronounced at the back of the throat, in a point at the back of the throat. So Panini's last grammatical rule says is up. That's Panini's last grammatical rule, The fullness of life and joy, everything in creation, is contained in every point of creation. So I hope with just these two examples of Panini's grammatical rules, we have at least seen how concise they are and how absolutely comprehensive each Panini rule is. In fact, this last rule can even be translated as, if we can understand any one point of creation and any one of my rules, you will understand everything there is to know. Leonard Bromfield, who is considered the father of Western linguistics, considered Panini to be the greatest intellectual genius that ever lived. But Panini said that he just cognized these rules, these 4,000 rules. They just came to him like that. And they are the actual, natural, subtle process of how creation comes out of silence. Silence, sound, language, and then creation. So now, anytime somebody comes to you and gives you some grammatical, picky detail, you can say to them, ready, right, Deutsch.